Hi, my name is Patty and I'm doing a baking challenge. I release a video every Friday. Welcome to this week's video. Now, let's find out what I'm baking this week. Oh yes, it's a good one. It's a pie. Lemon meringue pie. Very excited. Hey guys, welcome to another video. This week I get to make lemon meringue pie. I think this will be my first time making it. I made several other pies, but I don't think I made the lemon meringue one. I'm going to start by making the crust, and then it needs to go into the freezer for a bit, and then we are going to make the filling and then the topping, which is the meringue. So let's do this. Start by making the pie dough. To food processor we add the flour, sugar and salt and half of the butter, and then we process it until it looks like sand. We can see little pieces of butter, and then we add the rest of the butter. So we add the butter in 2 times and 2 tablespoons of icy water, and then we process it for a bit. We need to leave some little pieces of butter and 2 more tablespoons of water, and then we process it until it looks like this, and then we are taking it to a countertop so we can bring it all together and it forms a ball. I realized that I should have added a little bit less water. The pie dough could have been a bit drier than it was, and also I would have liked to have some pieces of butter showing, but it's okay, we can make do with this. I'm used to making it by hand, so to me it's easier to do it by hand. It makes a flakier dough. Okay, so now I'm dividing it in 2, and I use the scale just to have an idea if I was really dividing it well, and I was. So I made 2 discs and wrapped them, and they were ready to refrigerate. For at least 1 hour. I left them more than that. You can leave them for 2 days in case you don't have time to do it in the same day. Here I'm getting ready to roll it out. And cover the pie plate. So we start by doing it like this, so the dough stretches a bit before we roll it. And then slowly and slowly it starts being easier to roll it out. And this dough was very tricky. It was breaking a lot, so I ended up making it too thin, and it broke while I was trying to move it to the pie plate, but I knew that I could mend it piece by piece. We can cover the pie plate. So that's what I did. It's not ideal, but we can make do. So as I said, I would have liked to have the pie crust a bit thicker, and also not as wet as it got, but it can still make a good pie, just not as flaky. Here I'm cutting the excess. And now I'm just shaping it a little bit like the pie plate. And it's ready to freeze. So my oven is preheating, and in the meantime I've been separating the eggs. So here I have the egg whites for the meringue, and here the egg yolks for the filling. Just going to give it a quick mix so that the yolks don't dry out. I have here the pie crust that is frozen. Let's get it ready for the oven. This pie plate is about 22 centimeters wide, which is 9 inches. To avoid the pie crust from shrinking, we are going to add some weight to it because this is going to bake without any filling. So we need to add some weight to it so it doesn't shrink. So I'm going to get some parchment paper and I'm going to do this. Cover the crust, and you can use any kind of weight that you have. You can use beans. I'm using rice. This rice has been here reserved for pies. I'm going to press it. The oven is ready, so the pie is going in. I've set a timer for 20 minutes. Let's start the filling. 150 grams of sugar, 35 grams of cornstarch. I like to always sift the cornstarch to avoid the lumps. And with a spatula and mix it. Quarter teaspoon of salt, 300 milliliters of water. And then it's just the lemon juice and the lemon zest. We need 2 tablespoons of lemon zest. I have different types of lemons, but these ones are organic, so I opted to use these because they don't have any treatment. You are using the zest, it's usually good to check that. I'm going to set this. I think this is enough. Now we just need to juice the lemons. We need 180 milliliters. Okay, now shrink it. Okay. Use the fork again here. I'm just going to use a little bit of egg to seal a bit here. And now this is going without the weight to the oven. Okay, so now we have all the ingredients. And here one of them. To the stuff. tempered, so we can take it up to heat. Now that it has thickened even more, here it is. Now we can add our butter. I'm going to sift this to remove any possible lumps. That's it. It looks really good. So initially I was going to make the French meringue, but I switched it to Italian meringue because I don't want the crust to go into the oven again. So I have here 170 milliliters of water, and I'm going to add some sugar. So 340. And now I need to pick this up, and I need it to get to 121 degrees Celsius. So it is a syrup that we are going to pour into the egg whites. So let's start heating it up, and while that's going, I have here my egg whites, and I need to add the cream of tartar and some salt, 1/4 teaspoon of cream of tartar, and also salt. The plan is, when the syrup gets to 115 degrees Celsius, we start mixing the egg whites, and then when the syrup gets to 121 degrees, the egg whites are ready for the syrup, so we can start pouring it while the egg whites are whipping up. Okay, 15, and that's in the pan. So now that the sugar has reached the temperature, 121 degrees Celsius, we can pour it into the egg whites. Now we need to let it whip until it gets to stiff peaks for about 8-10 minutes. Okay, so it's been 10 minutes, and here it is, pretty stiff. I think we are ready. I have the filling over here. I've covered it with this plastic wrap so that film doesn't form on top. And now we are ready to assemble the pie. So let's add this filling. It's cold now. Let's get this as even as possible. It's going to be a lot of meringue on top, like an obscene amount. Just going to try to cover all edges. Close all of these little holes so we can see the filling from the top. Okay, so now we can put more. This is like the classic look of an American pie, you know, when you see like a big dome on top of the pie. And now too smooth. And we are going to use the blowtorch, so it will be useful to have some little edges for it to burn a bit. So let's try to mess it up a little bit. I think this is enough. And now for the fun part. Okay, I think this is enough. Here's our lemon meringue pie. And now we need to wait for it to cool before we slice it. Otherwise it might be a mess because it's still warm and it might fall apart. So we need to wait, I'd say like at least 4 hours in the fridge. So let's do that. Let's slice it and then I can taste it. Okay, we have one slice. The meringue is so thick. So now it's time to taste. Here it is. Our lemon meringue pie. It's pretty good. It's just a classic lemon meringue pie. The filling is very smooth and lemony, not too lemony. I think it's really good. And then the meringue is a little bit marshmallowy. I like the Italian meringue because the texture is more like a marshmallow. I don't know if you can see it. And I also like to blowtorch it. I like the look better like this rather than making a French meringue, which is just whipping the sugar and egg whites, and then in the end you assemble the tart and you take it again into the oven, and the oven will cook the egg whites. But this way the egg whites are cooked due to the syrup, and then you just have to blowtorch it in the end to make this look, and a little bit of a more like a burnt caramelly taste. I think this is really good. The crust could have been a little bit lighter. A couple more minutes and it probably would be too much. I think this is a good result. Okay, this is it for this week. The recipe is going to be in the description. I hope you liked the video and I'll see you next week. Bye.